Hey everybody, welcome back to Better Workdays, the show that gives you free, fast, and actionable advice on how to use leadership skills to create better workdays for yourself and for the people around you. I'm your host, Andy Morrison from Real Custom Training, right here in beautiful downtown Putnam, Connecticut, where it is starting to really feel like fall. Kids are back in school. We went to the Woodstock Fair this past weekend. So if you're a swamp Yankee, if you're in this part of Connecticut, Woodstock Fair for a lot of us, that is the official, that is the nail in the coffin for summer every year, that trip to the Woodstock Fair. So in my book, and I think in a lot of books around here, we have turned the page. Summer's done. We're moving on to fall. And if you've been to Lowe's or CVS or Walgreens or any of the stores, you're seeing the Christmas stuff. It's already up there. And usually I would complain about how early the Christmas stuff comes out, but this year I decided to join the fun, and we're going to get a jump on Christmas too here on Better Workdays. So we're going to talk about one of my favorite places on earth this episode, Santa's Village. Up in Jefferson, New Hampshire, up in the beautiful White Mountains of Jefferson. Santa's Village is a theme park. Before I say this next part, make sure you are sitting down. If you're listening, doing the dishes, just sit down, crisscross applesauce on the floor for a moment, okay? Santa's Village is a Christmas-themed theme park up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Now, I'm going to put something up on the screen for you here. I'm going to play this video. I'm not going to give you the sound, but if you're watching the stream and you've never heard of or been to Santa's Village, I'm putting this video up so you can see some B-roll from the park. This video, let me give full credit, is by a YouTube channel called Coaster Studios, and they go around the country reviewing theme parks of all sizes and the rides there. The folks at Coaster Studios, they know what they're doing because they love Santa's Village. If you go find their review of Santa's Village, they go deep into it, and I actually learned a lot about the place from them. But as you can see from the B-roll footage, it's a Christmas-themed theme park. Lots of rides, generally for kids. I'd say, I think my kids might get sick of it by the time I bet 12. I think 12 is probably the age where kids get to be a little bit too old for Santa's Village. But for the Morrison family, we have been going up there since 2019. I guess technically that was the first time we took both kids. I was going to say we only took the oldest one, but my wife was pregnant with our youngest daughter at the time. So I guess technically we did take both kids to Santa's Village that year. And we've gone back every year since then, with the exception of 2020 because of, that's right, stupid friggin' COVID. We go every year. I love it. Some people, I've had friends, I've had online acquaintances who like to bust chops, say, Andy, why do you take the kids to the same place every year? You know, are you such an uncultured slob that you just go up to Santa's Village every year? You don't want to go to Europe? And I say to them, if I want to go to Europe, I'll go to Epcot. You know, we got Europe. We have Europe. I don't have to go to Europe for Europe. I can just go to Epcot. But for the years you can't afford the trip to Epcot, a place like Santa's Village is a beautiful alternative, and I love it up there, and we go every year. Is this episode going to be just me waxing on about how much I love Santa's Village? In a way, yes. But what's the promise of this podcast? You're going to get advice on how to use leadership skills to create better work days. And like our workshops, every episode is supposed to be relevant, engaging, actionable, and lasting. So I am going to tell you about Santa's Village, but I'm actually going to pull some leadership lessons from it. Okay. And that makes sense because when you're in my line of work, you're constantly looking at this stuff. And that's one reason I have come to love Santa's Village so much, because not just because the kids love it and the family loves it, but because when we go there and I walk around and I look around and I observe, I can't help being in this line of work, but ask myself, all right, what are they doing here that's having such an effect on us? Why do we love it so much here? You know, if we're having such a good experience, that's an indication that this is a well-run place. So what's the evidence of that? And that evidence provides some valuable leadership lessons. Obviously, if you are also running a Christmas-themed theme park somewhere in the world, then these are readily applicable for you, highly relevant for you. But even if you're a customer service rep at an insurance agency, or you're running CNC machines at a manufacturing shop, whatever you're doing, these leadership lessons from Santa's Village are going to be applicable. So without further ado, check out this fancy title card I made for this week. Leadership lessons from Santa's Village. That's me and the kids with Mayor Pookie, the mayor of Santa's Village. Kind enough to take a photo with us just a few months after a fierce re-election campaign for mayor of Santa's Village. So I really appreciated that. He was still in good spirits despite getting dragged through the mud at times. It was ugly as politics even at Santa's Village can so often be. All right, your first leadership lesson from Santa's Village. Oh, and let me just preface this real quick. Let me tell you one other thing. I'm giving you all this strictly from the consumer perspective. I've never interviewed anyone from Santa's Village. I've never been given a tour of Santa's Village. No one from the leadership team has ever reached out and said, hey, Andy, no one ever really asks for this, but if you really want to come in and see the back offices, you can see the building at Santa's Village where all the offices for the business part is. And I'm always like, oh, I wish we could go in there. So if they were willing to, I would take them up on that, but it hasn't happened. So I'm not giving you their corporate spiel, not giving you their talking points about how they do things. I'm just giving you my observations as a frequent guest of their park. And one of the first things I noticed, because it's one of the first things you see when you walk in, is that they put the people first. That's the first big takeaway for you from Santa's Village. Just put the people first. I don't care if you're running a Christmas-themed theme park, if you're making aerospace components for the planes that people take to get to theme parks on their vacations. I don't care what industry you're in, what service you're providing, what product you're making. Put the people first. That's your customers and your employees. Put them first. Everything else will follow. At Santa's Village, we'll talk about how they put people first in terms of the customer and in terms of the customers, young and old, and in terms of their employees. So first thing when you walk into Santa's Village, as you know, if you've got little kids like we do, when you go to these theme parks, you need a stroller. You need a stroller. I don't care if you're a big strapping man like I am and you can carry the kid. No one's got the endurance to do that all day. You need the strollers. You also know at a lot of theme parks, you're going to pay a pretty penny for those strollers, or you're going to lug your own stroller, which means taking it on the plane, packing it in the car. They're not the most convenient things to lug around. At Santa's Village, however, the strollers are free. Totally free, no strings attached. Literally, they're not even tied up. You just go up and take them. There's no strings attached to them. And of course, as this sign I'm showing you indicates, they don't call them strollers. They call them Santa's little sleighs because they are on point with the theming at Santa's Village, which is something I appreciate. Every opportunity they have to tie in the Christmas theme, they take it. But the strollers are free. So when you're the consumer and you go in and you see this thing that everybody needs there, and business principles tell us it's a tale as old as time. If people need it, they're going to pay for it. So Wise water costs $15 at the movie theaters and $2 at Cumberland Farms because you need it at the movie theater. They don't let you take your own in. They know you're going to pay $15 for it, right? Santa's Village, though, they say, we know you need these strollers and we're looking out for you. We put the people first. Strollers are free. So that's the first thing you see when you walk in. And that was one of my biggest indications of, oh, wow, this place is perhaps not looking to squeeze every nickel and dime out of the consumer, which can feel like a unique strategy for a theme park. Similarly, taking care of their adult customers, putting the people first. Here's a picture of the park exit at Santa's Village for you. And if you're listening and not watching, allow me to paint the picture. You got your park exit, and like a lot of theme parks, you can see it leads into the gift shop. You got to go through the gift shop to get to the parking lot. Disney takes this to the extreme. At Disney, you get off Pirates of the Caribbean, and you're in a gift shop. You get off every ride, pretty much, as far as I can recall. Every ride dumps you into its own little mini gift shop. They are constantly trying to get the parents to buy stuff for the kids. Santa's Village also has an exit through the gift shop, but take a look. You'll see this other sign, this smaller sign in the corner there, that photo. And let me show you a close-up of that sign. This secondary sign says exit, and there's an arrow pointing towards the exit that goes through the gift shop, and it says shopping. Then there's an exit pointing in the opposite direction that says no shopping. So Santa's Village, unlike some other theme parks, again, looking out for the adult customers, they know that when that closing bell rings at Santa's Village at 5 o'clock, and you've been there all day, and you've had a great time, but you are tired, the kids are tired, Dad and the kids are equally at risk of an epic meltdown. They know sometimes you just got to get the hell out of Santa's Village, and you don't have time to go through the gift shop and deal with the kids asking for stuff that maybe you're not prepared to get them. They give you the choice. They point you the way. If you don't want to deal with that gift shop experience, go that way, folks. I love it. I love it. Santa's Village looks out for you. They put the people first. Now, I talked about how they take care of the big folks. Let's talk about some cool things they do to put the people first in terms of the little ones, the kids. All right, you can see my daughter here with Lucky the elf. That's. I hope I don't need to clarify this, but I will. That's a statue of an elf, not a. Well, if the kids are watching, I don't want to say not a real elf, but that's a statue of an elf. There are real elves, right? Because my kids, for the kids out there watching, of course there's real elves. But this one's a statue. And so you'll notice that statue's holding a box, a gift box with a lever on it, kind of like, what do you call them? Like a slot machine lever, right? That is because Santa's Village has this awesome thing they offer. When you walk in, there's a place called Elf University. The kids go into Elf University. When you get to the park, they get a card that they wear around their neck all day. The card has a Christmas tree with 26 letters of the alphabet on it. There are 26 of these elf statues throughout the park that correspond with the 26 letters of the alphabet. The kids go up to the elf, they put their cards in the box, they pull the lever down, it punches a hole in the corresponding letter, and at the end of the day, if the kids have punched all 26 holes, they get a free prize from Santa's Village. Now, if that's not cool enough, super engaging, super interactive, kids love it. Every time we go to Santa's Village, we go for 2 days over the course of a week. And my kids, doesn't matter if they do all 26 the first day, they have to do 26 again the second day. Kids love this feature. The cool thing though is, although they say, you got to punch all 26 to get the prize, I'm going to spill a Santa's Village secret here. You don't really need to punch all 26 holes. If your kids have some of them punched and make an effort, they're going to go up to Elf University at the end of the day and get the free prize and a certificate that they're a graduate. Just like at Real Custom Training, you take a workshop with us, you get a certificate because you need proof. You need proof that you accomplished something so worthy. So here's what the kids get, right? I've got 2 sets of keys. I've got my house keys, and on there I've got this keychain that the kids got this year. I found elves A through Z, Santa's Village, New Hampshire, with a little elf on it. And then on my work keys, I've got graduate of Elf University keychain. And I'm fortunate that, like I said, my kids want to do this game twice when we go on 2 different days, because that means they get their prizes, they can keep them. Then that second day when they get those prizes, I say, kids, dad tax, those are mine now, hand them over. And I get these keychains, and they help remind me of how much I love Santa's Village and love my kids, and that's why I work, right? So put the people first, have cool free things like this, and don't be a stickler on the prizes. Hook the kids up. All right. Now we talked about how they take care of. Oh, and let me just say, too, that elf game is one of many examples I could highlight of pretty cool free things that they do at Santa's Village for the kids, where just like for the adults, they're not constantly trying to take advantage and get you to pay for everything. I mean, look at this. All right, look at this photo. This is like literally the only one of 3 photos I have of my family in my office, and all of them are from Santa's Village. But this is the kids with Santa at Santa's Village. You can literally go to Santa's house. What do you think they charge you at Santa's Village to meet the big guy, to sit down and spend a few minutes talking with Santa? They don't charge you a dime for that. Now, of course, reasonably, yeah, you can pay to get the photo and get this awesome frame like I do and put it up in your workplace for years to come. But the actual interaction for the kids with Santa Claus is absolutely 100% free, because Santa and the people at Santa's Village put the people first. You should too. I don't care what business you're in, put the people first. Now, the employees of Santa's Village, also, my observation is that they get put first as well. They are taken care of at Santa's Village. I mean, look at this photo, right? My daughter's little, and look, it's a few years ago. She's pretty little here. So she had it in her, little toddler head, understanding, oh, at Santa's Village, if you really like something, you take a picture with it. So she liked this employee so much, she asked if we could take a picture of her with the employee. And this employee is one of many that super pleasant to talk to, and not forced and not faking it. Authentically nice and happy people, in my experience, are the only types I've run across working at Santa's Village. And I'll casually ask them, how is it here? They treat you like it. They treat you good. I like to ask people that wherever I go just to get some insight. And they all tell you that they love it there and that it's a great place to work. And you can tell that just by watching them work because they're genuinely happy. And this is true of everybody that you run into there. You know, they've got these cabanas that you rent, and an employee has to like take you and give you a quick little tour of it first. We've been doing that for like 4 or 5 years now. Every single time that employee is talking you up, and not in a, hey, they say every day, ask the customer, how are you doing today? No, they're doing it and it feels genuine. Like they really like being there and really like interacting with the customers. And they back it up. That I think Santa's Village, again, I've never interviewed anyone from the leadership team there, but I bet if I did, which I would love to do, I bet they would say one of their core values is taking care of the customer and taking care of the employees. And I can tell that just from being one of those customers and observing what it's like for the employees there. All right, your next leadership lesson from the wonderful Santa's Village. All the pieces matter. All the pieces matter. If that sounds familiar to you, you might be saying, where have I heard that before? Well, it's from HBO's The Wire. So in which case, when Lester Freeman, Detective Freeman, said all the pieces matter, he was talking about the context of a criminal investigation. But like all good leadership principles, it applies in his context and outside of that context. Even at Santa's Village, all the pieces matter. And what I mean by that is this. Take a look at this picture, right? The two kids, my two kids and some rando kid in the background. Don't worry about him or her back there. My two kids, look what they're doing, right? It looks like they're posing with some type of penguin statue. But if you look a little closer, you'll see the big kid is pulling back the top hat of that penguin, not to bully it. She's not bullying the penguin. She's pulling the top hat back because it reveals that penguin is a garbage can. That's the garbage cans at Santa's Village. They're all penguins with bow ties on. You could just have regular garbage cans, and they've got them throughout the park. But for the most part, it's these awesome penguin garbage cans, because why not? Why not go all out? Again, go all out with the theming. Take seemingly unimportant things like garbage cans, right? Yes, they're functional. Why not take the functional and make it a little bit magical? And why not do that everywhere that you can? And when you go to Santa's Village, that's what you'll see, that they try to do that everywhere that they can. Those little things matter, again, to the people they put first, the customers, the visitors. It matters. It's super cool and funny and just like, oh, that's an awesome touch. Your garbage cans are penguins. Of course they are at Santa's Village, because that's how they do things. And I do believe stuff like that really matters. Real quick story at Real Custom Training. One of the things I insisted on when we invested money to start the business was we had to get very nice furniture for the training room. And my reason for that was our customers are going to be sitting in these chairs, getting up and doing activities, but they're going to be in the chairs for a couple hours at a time for workshops. They better be comfortable, because my message is, you guys come first. You're the most important part of this whole business, this whole experience. You, the learners, are the most important part. I want our furniture and the investment in that furniture to reflect that. Sure, I could have just thrown any chairs in that room and they still would have sat in them, but it wouldn't have sent that message. And I have had people say to me, these chairs are great, thank you. Sometimes they say these are much better than the chairs they have at our company in their training room. And that's why it's important. Send the message. You are the most important thing here. All the little things, the functional things where you may not think about how important they are, take the time to think about it and find ways to use those functional things in your business to send the message that all the pieces matter, because you, the customer, you matter. All right, the next one for you. In terms of all the pieces matter at Santa's Village, look at this. Check out, the roller coasters, the rides, the giant snowmen you can see in the background there. All that stuff's great. But they don't just stop there. They take really good care of the landscaping. I could show you dozens of images like this of the beautiful flowers and landscaping all throughout Santa's Village. You'll notice there's a few Christmas trees in this particular photo. Been going there 6 years now as an adult, and then lots of years before that as a little kid. And it wasn't until I think it was this year that I realized, oh yeah, of course. There's lots of pine trees. There's lots of Christmas trees. Like, that's, of course it's Christmas trees all throughout Santa's Village, because it's a Christmas themed place. Sometimes I think I'm pretty sharp, and then sometimes I think, wow, Andy, it took you that long to really put that together. Of course it's all Christmas trees, but they take care of it. All the pieces matter. And Look at this photo, right? This guy, this employee at Santa's Village, I saw him this year and I thought, wow, look at that nice touch. This guy's just walking around with a push broom, pushing mulch off the public walkway back into the mulch area. That's it. Again, all the pieces matter. All the seemingly little things add up. I mean, look how crisp that line is between the mulch and the walkway. I'm sure they start that way in the morning, and I bet it doesn't take long with kids like mine running around, taking shortcuts, running through the mulch for that mulch to get spread out onto the walkway, and it doesn't look so pristine, and they're on top of it because all that stuff matters there. All of it matters. Next leadership lesson from Santa's Village: you can't beat the real thing. Keep it real, keep it interactive. That's going to be more important and more important and more important moving forward in our culture and our society, thanks to artificial intelligence and advancements in technology. If you go to, we went to Disney 2 or 3 years ago and Universal, and there is a growing reliance on screen technology for the ride experience, the customer experience at those parks. And I get it. That's the way the technology's going. But, for example, the King Kong ride at Universal, it used to be, I think it was like the studio tour. And at one point there's a giant animatronic King Kong. And it's like, whoa, now the King Kong ride, it's all screens. And it's just not the same. It is just not the same. Santa's Village has not yet followed that trend. They keep it real there. You can't beat the real thing. For example, I mean, look at me in this picture feeding an actual reindeer. How much better is that than just statues of reindeer or a screen with reindeer? It's real, it's interactive, it's engaging, and you can see that all throughout the park. Pretty cool to be able to get to go and feed reindeer. And this is a picture of me feeding the reindeer. I assure you, we let the kids do it too. We let the kids feed the reindeer too. It's not just me. And I do dad tax them and take some of their carrots so I get extra ones to feed. But the kids get to feed them too. Don't worry about that. Growth. Let's talk about growth. Can you really grow as a person at Santa's Village? I would argue yes. And you can grow in one of the best ways, and that's in a fun way. Now, how does this apply to big, important grown-up stuff of leading people in the workplace? Well, because if you're at all familiar with Real Custom Training and with this podcast, we're all about growth mindset. And you have to be all about growth mindset in 2025 because as Logan Roy in Succession said, there is no line. Everything's changing all the time, always. Get used to it. And the only way to get used to that continuous change is to have a growth mindset where learning becomes your priority. Learning and growth are your priority. They are the lens through which you look at everything. They are the goal for which you are constantly striving. And that can be scary, and that can be a hard mindset to adopt. And even once you've adopted it, it can be a hard mindset to apply consistently. So my advice to people is always this: when they're first working on going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, I always say, try to find fun ways to do it. Try to find fun, seemingly stupid, silly, inane ways to practice growth. Growth, pay attention to what you say no to. That's usually a growth opportunity, especially if it's fear or anxiety-based no. For example, right up in Maine, we wanted to go to this place called Schooner's Landing for dinner. And they've got a big deck and live music all the time. And it's like, my picture of it in my head was that it was really busy. And years back, like 4 or 5 years ago, when my wife said we should go there, I said no. And then when I thought about it, I was like, I'm saying no because I'm immediately anxious at the thought of having to navigate through a crowd with loud music in order to order the food at the bar. And I just don't want to deal with any of that. So no to that place. And I realized I'm saying no for fear-based reasons. So maybe I should say yes, because even if I go there and it's crowded, what's the worst that could happen? And what's the best that could happen? What ended up happening was we went. I said, no, you know what? I changed my mind. Let's go there. Let's try it. Love the place. We go every year now. And now my family has a really special spot that I love and they love that maybe we would have missed out on if I had stuck with that kind of fear-based no that I first said. And I think it's important to find those kind of small, seemingly unimportant opportunities to practice changing your mindset, Because then when the big stuff comes up, when you get offered a promotion at work or something really challenging comes up, or you've got to make a big change about yourself and the way you're behaving, you're prepared for it. You've already practiced making that shift on these seemingly low stake scenarios. And now you're ready to apply that for the bigger stake scenarios. So for the kids at Santa's Village, it's full of opportunities to do that. This picture that I'm showing you, look how happy me and my daughter are on the flume ride. And then I'm going to show you this snow globe that I bought at Santa's Village. I don't know how well you can, it's blurry, but you can kind of see there, that's me with the same kid in the front of the log. And take my word for it, she doesn't look too happy in that first picture. That was 2022. She did not like that experience of the flume ride at all. But I'm so proud of her because we don't pressure the kids, right? If they go on a ride and it freaks them out, we're not like, you gotta get tough, get out of your comfort zone, get back on that roller coaster. No. We say, hey, it's okay. We're really proud of you for trying it. You can always try it again or not. It's totally up to you. And I'm so proud of the kids that even when they do scary stuff like that, the next year, they're still willing to say, you know what? Yeah, I'll try it. I'll try it out. And I mean, look how happy Haley is in this picture. She loves the flume now. I mean, you can look at us going down it here. I look like a maniac. She's got a smile on her face there, much happier going down the flume. So, there's so many parallels between, I think raising kids is a leadership practice. I mean, it's I think some people don't like hearing this because they think it's like saying they are children, or that it implies professionals should be as close as family members are. And I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is when you look at the best practices, the philosophies, the mindsets, the skills, the frameworks behind leadership in the workplace and raising kids, there is a hell of a lot of similarities. And it makes sense because it's all about guiding people and helping them learn and grow and adjust their behavior. So of course there's a lot of overlap. I'm not quite sure why I got going on that, but my point was that with the kids, practicing growth can be fun. The same thing can apply to adults too. Growth can be fun. Places like Santa's Village give you an awesome opportunity to practice that. Maybe it's for yourself. Maybe you're saying no to rides because you don't want to look stupid when you get shot out of the bottom of the water slide and you just flop out into the water. So do it anyway. The kids will love it. Practice saying yes at the fun things when you don't want to. You'll probably surprise yourself and you'll be working on that growth mindset in a fun way. All right, my final lesson for you. I've got to sneak over to the side here so that you can see this video that's going to take up the screen. Before I tell you the lesson, just here's my visual evidence of this lesson in action. That's my daughter in the bumper car. And yes, what you're seeing, believe it, she is making the finger across the throat, you're dead, I'm going to get you gesture to the person behind the camera. In this case was my wife, her mother. And the guy next to her in that car with the backwards hat on, yes, that's me. And this is 100% my influence. We were in line for the bumper cars. I was pumping her up and I taught her that gesture. And I said, look, when we get out there, I want you to get your mother's attention and tell her you're coming for her out on the bumper car track. I mean, I could watch this GIF all day. It's one of the funniest things any one of the families ever done. But what's the lesson there? The lesson there is this, folks. There are no friends on the bumper cars, okay? 2025, I feel like, right, every generation of parents and leadership too, leadership changes the same way with management practices, but every generation is doing its best to do things differently. And of course that's good, but then, right, nothing's perfect. So it's almost like, the self-esteem movement that my generation grew up with, then you can see that it makes sense if you got raised in a way where your self-esteem, your self-worth was priority number one, that maybe you get into the workforce and you have trouble taking critical feedback without getting really hurt. Or maybe you need a little bit more encouragement and validation from your leader than the generation before you did. And so for my generation of parents, I think sometimes one of the things that we're on the right track And I wouldn't abandon it, but I'm like, maybe we go a little too far. Is the whole, again, even growth mindset in this case, I think can go a little too far in the sense of, when my kids play soccer, it's like, yeah, I want you to grow. I want your growth to be your number one priority. But listen, when you're out there, it is okay to compete. It is okay to want to best the other people. Even at times when the kids have had to line up against their friends on the other team, it's like it's okay to want your dear friend to lose that game. I think we're raising them in a way where they feel like that must be wrong, because who wants to lose, right? And who would want to do that to their friend? And not that you relish it, but it's okay to want to win. It's okay to be competitive. Competition, what I've pointed out to my kids, and I even use this in leadership workshops, the best example I have of why you need to have a competitive spirit is this. When you watch the Olympics, right? Picture two sprinters at the Olympics. One of them wins and gets gold. The other one, right on their heels, wins and gets silver. That gold medalist just prevented the silver medalist from accomplishing their dream. They kept them from doing the thing they probably wanted to do more than anything else in the world, at least on a professional basis, perhaps just entirely. That's the thing they wanted more than anything. And the gold medalist just kept them from doing that. And when they were running, the silver medalist was doing their damnedest to prevent the gold medalist from achieving their lifelong goal and dream. And what are these two people who are out to stop each other from fulfilling their utmost desire? What do they do when the race is done? Sometimes they fall over. A lot of the time, though, and you'll see it even on the podium, they hug each other, or they shake hands, or they high five. There's an affinity between Olympians that you don't always see in other sports, or you see among fans who seem to think, no, we need to rub each other's face in defeat. If I'm competing with you, I want to destroy you. I'm not allowed to care about you at all. But what the Olympians exemplify is that gold medalist knows that silver medalist is the reason, or part of a big reason, why they are a gold medalist, because it was that silver medalist effort and competitive spirit that pushed the gold medalist to be the very best they could be and earn that gold medal, and vice versa. The silver medalist appreciates the gold medalist for pushing them and driving them the same way. That's what competitiveness can do for people. It doesn't need to be ugly. It doesn't need to be brutal, but it's okay. And I feel like for the generation coming up, at least for my kids, I want them to know it's okay. And in fact, it's good, and it can be healthy, and it can help you grow to be competitive. And so at Santa's Village, I try to exemplify that by telling them there's no friends on the bumper cars. It's okay. Drive that kid into the wall. Let's see that grandpa with his kids. Let's spin them out. Let's slam them into the corner. Because sometimes I'll see people in the bumper cars, and I'll literally see them. They could just completely smash another car, and they just choose to go around them. And to me, I'm kind of like, what are we here for? It's the bumper cars. It's in the name. I could understand if this was a racetrack, you'd be annoyed with me ramming my car into yours, but it's the bumper cars. It's what we're here for. Just like on the soccer field, what are you there for? Yes, you're there to grow. You're there to get better. But you are also there to win. The objective of the game and the activity that you have agreed to participate in, the objective is to win. And in leadership and in business and in team building, result orientation, right? Objective obsession, objective driven. It's all about the objective and getting people on board with that. So when you raise kids to get on the bumper cars and think, I'm not going to slam anyone, that's not nice. Well, then they're not meeting the objective, right? They're not meeting the objective. So there's no friends on the bumper cars, and that is okay. Quick story for you to close this episode out. This is a true story. I told this on stage at a stand-up comedy contest that I did a couple years ago, and it was well received. And I wish I could say it's an exaggeration, but it's not really. On the bumper cars at Santa's Village, I was in the car with Haley and letting her steer, but really it was me steering. I was in charge. And I won't make excuses. I went the wrong way. I went against the traffic, which is a violation of the rules, and hit another car head on. And the attendant running the ride stopped the ride and walked over to us and leaned into the car and said, "Sir, if you do that again," I can't remember if he said you could be kicked out of the park. I know it was definitely you'll have to get off the bumper cars. Maybe said I'd be banned, but like put me on notice and made a show of doing it so that everybody knew, do not do what this guy just did. I mean, he stopped the cars. The whole ride stopped. Nobody could move. They had to watch as this, probably 19-year-old kid came over and admonished me. So I did what any responsible adult would do. I said, I totally understand. I apologize. I was letting the kid steer the car. I just threw that kid right under the bus. So there's your leadership lessons from Santa's Village. A tremendous place, a really well-run place that I'll keep going back to. If you ever have the chance, if you're in Northeastern Connecticut, I think we get there in about 3 hours with stops, which isn't too bad. Beautiful area up in the White Mountains. You can have fun at Santa's Village. You can learn, you can grow, you can watch the kids grow, try new things, get out of their comfort zone and all that good stuff. So put the people first. All the pieces matter. You can't beat the real thing. Growth can be fun, and there are no friends on the bumper cars. Those are the leadership lessons that I pulled from Santa's Village this summer, and I hope you can find a way to apply them in your workplace to create better work days for you and for the people around you. Now, before I go, real quick, Real Custom Training. We are in full fall mode, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting ready at Real Custom Training, and we want to show you our schedule of upcoming workshops. Core self-management skills, September 16th. Train the trainer, September 25th. Smooth start for new supervisors, a new workshop. Another new workshop, emotional intelligence for customer service. That'll start October 23rd. Supervisory essentials will start October 28th, and learning to lead begins December 9th. These are all being run in Putnam, Connecticut. If you hear any of these topics and you think that sounds like it might be helpful to me or other folks in my organization, then you need to check out realcustomtraining.com, where you can see all the details about these programs and how to get yourself and your employees registered for them. All right, that's it for this week's Better Work Days. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Andy Morrison, and I will see you next time.